Thank you, everyone. So thanks for joining. This talk is going to be about the VMware to KVM migration tool improvements, mostly on the different CloudStack versions, and mostly focused on the last improvements we have added on 4.22. So basically, we'll go through the migration process, like an overview of what the process has been doing and how it has been improved. Then we'll go through the latest versions of CloudStack and which improvements we have added to the migration tool. Then, if time permits, we'll do a short demo with the latest improvements and what's next for this tool. So a bit about me. If you want to contact on LinkedIn, I copied the idea from John to share the QR code. So yeah, I'm Nicolas. I'm a lead software engineer at ShapeBlue. I am a PMC member, currently the CloudStack VP. And yeah, if you want to be in contact, you can ping me there or on GitHub about any issue around the tool. That's always welcome to have some feedback. So to do a very small summary, we had the VMware to KVM migration need regarding users wanting to migrate from VMware, out of VMware to KVM. So we have developed this tool, which actually uses virt-b2b to migrate those VMs from VMware and import them into CloudStack. So the first version in which this was introduced was 4.19. On the first stage, the migrations were a bit slow. There were no good migration times. There were some restrictions about only using NFS. So it was a good introduction, but it was a bit limited. So that needed improvement. And that has been improved over the time. So we have added a performance improvement on 4.19.1, which reduced the migration times around 17–19%, which was very good. Then we have faced some listing performance issues in 4.19 previous to 4.19.3, which we have fixed on those versions regarding the listing of the VMs on a vCenter. And then we have added several other improvements. Especially, we have preserved the boot type on the source VMs. We have added the virt-b2b version and OVF tool directly in the CloudStack management server for administrators to easily see them in CloudStack. And also we have added a list migration task, which we'll see in a minute. The possibility to pass extra parameters for the virt-b2b binary, and also the optional feature to write directly on a storage pool without using a staging pool. So very briefly, for the migration process, we use 2 KVM hosts mainly. One, we name it the conversion host, which is the one in which the virt-b2b migration is executed. It needs to be installed virt-b2b, also OVF tool if required to do the OVF export. And this host will be in charge of that migration. It will take the VMTK files, we'll convert them to QCOW2. Then we'll have a KVM importing host, which needs access to that converted disk, and will import it into CloudStack. So in some cases, the KVM import host and the KVM converting host can be the same, so we can go through that. And the tool will allow you to select. So very briefly, this is a diagram of how the migration works. So basically, CloudStack connects to the vCenter. It will clone a source VM in case it is running. If the source VM is not running, it will export it through OVF tool. It will do the conversion on the conversion host, by default into a temporary storage. Temporary storage can be secondary, can be also primary storage, but virt-b2b will place the converted disks on this temporary storage. After that, it will move the disks to primary storage, and then we'll import it to CloudStack. So that's the default behavior of the migration tool. And if you'll see, we have added some new improvements, sorry. Here, when you try to import a VM, you will see the boot type and boot mode. You will see the option to do a OVF export directly through a KVM host or through the management server. So by default, this is disabled. What it will mean, it will use the converting host to export those files. If you enable it, it will use the management server. Then there's another optional toggle to force converting the disks directly into the destination host, which we'll see in a minute. So now we'll go through very quickly the improvements that we have talked about for fixing those listing timeout issues. If you were trying to list all the VMs in a vCenter with a lot of VMs, there were some timeouts. So, and that was because of CloudStack trying to fetch all the information at once. So we have split that process into a thin listing and then a full listing when you want to select one VM. Then we have introduced some logs sanitization to improve the logs. Then also have allowed the CloudStack host details to know if a conversion is supported, to know the B2B version installed on that host, and also the OVF tool version that that host is running. So knowing that, when you go to the migration importing dialog, you are able to select a host, and you will see this one is not supported, which means there are no binaries installed. And on this one, you have it, and it will show the version. Yeah, also on the agent logs, we have added the prefix on each log operation. So when you are importing multiple VMs, you will know to which source VM the logs belong to. Then for the latest versions on 4.22, we have optimized that process by allowing the administrators to bypass the temporary storage. So that allows you to have support for shared mount point, also local storage, by using, if it is local storage, your KVM host, the importing host being the same converting host. Let me explain here. So if you select, you have to enable this toggle, and if you select the KVM host for the conversion to be the same destination pool for the disks, that will allow you to do bypassing the temporary storage directly into the local storage. And for the shared mount point, is the destination pool needs to be accessible for the conversion host. So this was the original process, and we allow to write directly into the primary storage without the needing for that temporary storage. That's by enabling this toggle, right? And we'll see it later in the demo. Yeah, there is another improvement, which is allowing to pass extra parameters. And this came from a use case for Windows VMs migration, in which there was a case that the static IP address of those Windows VMs have not been preserved after the migration. So Lucian actually has been working on that and discovered that passing a parameter to the B2B binary should help with that. So we thought on extending that to a general solution, and that solution should be to allowing extra parameters to be passed to the B2B binary. But of course, if we want to prevent some security issues, we need to let the administrator enable that via global setting, and also whitelisting which parameters it will allow. For example, if we want the // Mac parameter, we need the administrator to pass the Mac parameter there as well. So once that happens, CloudStack will display this new toggle here, and then the administrator can pass extra parameters, and that will be passed directly to the Virt-B2B binary. What else? Oh, so this is a new part in the UI in which there was a need for feedback for migrations. So currently, when you trigger a migration, you were not seeing anything until this was converted. And now we have added a new section in the UI and also an API to list all the migration tasks. So you can then filter by running tasks, completed tasks, or failed tasks. And we'll see here, there is a new section. So you will be able to see at which step a migration is. In this case, there were all the completed ones. But you can see information about what was the converting host, how much it took, and which was the original data center source name. That will give a more complete feedback to the users. And now let me show you how that works. One second. Okay, hope you can see there. So I have my environment here. I have 2 hosts. One of them has these options here. So this is a converting supported host. The other one is not, so it will not have any migration parameter here. And this is a new section under import-export instances. You'll need to select the migrate existing instances to KVM. And you will see at the bottom, there's a new tab here. So you can click import VM tasks. Currently, there are no running migrations, right? So I can click and see which are the completed ones. I can directly jump into this VM, which already exists. But if I have removed some of them, they will only display the name, which is the case for the other ones. So in this case, sorry. And to do completed. All of them were removed, so I cannot click them, but I can go directly to the hosts. If I want to see which ones have failed, I have some feedback here as well. So I can see at which stage this was converting the instance, step 3 of 5. This was cloning the instance. So there's some feedback for the user to be aware of what happened for those migrations. And here I can see all the migrations that were happening. So as a short demo, I can show you now how it will work for running migrations. Let's see. I can list the instances. You will see that went pretty fast. There are not many VMs on this environment, but we'll see. This will be import demo. Let's say here we need to select a host, and we'll see there are one unsupported and one supported host. So we check it. You'll see now if you don't enable this toggle, you'll see CloudStack will be looking for a staging storage. So staging storage will be by default the secondary storage. But if you want to convert directly to a primary storage, it will select only primary storage, and then you can select any of your KVM pools. So for the sake of this testing, I will select any of them. You will see here I have enabled the global parameters. So there's an option to pass those extra parameters here. But if I open, let me see, the tab, on another tab, sorry, and if I go to these global settings, then I look for extra params. Yeah, you'll see it's enabled, so I can disable this, then go back. I need to close this one. But if I try to import it again, you will see it's not here. So that's dynamic. So let's say if I want to trigger some migration, I will click the supporting host. I will look for a compute offering that matches the source VM offering. In this case, I need to enable this one, select the network, and trigger that. So once I trigger it, I can simply list the running ones. So I can see it's taking sometimes. By default, it's not refreshing automatically, so I need to click the refresh button. And you'll see it's taking current steps, seconds, to do the migration. But let's say I want to trigger another one. So let's start 2 migrations at the same time. Demo 2. Select the host, select the offering. Allow duplicates. Okay. So now you'll see there are 2 running migrations. There are at different, well, at this case, they are on the same step. It's converting directly because the VM was already stopped. So once the VM stopped, you don't need to clone. You don't need to clone it and then do the OVF export. So it's going to convert the VM, and after that, it will import it. So the same can be accessible via API. There's a new API to list this. You can filter this by status. It's all there. So if I want, let's say, for example, I pick another VM, and if I want to import, let's say I want to write directly on one of the pools, I will enable the toggle, and this text has changed. You see, it was previously saying select staging storage. Now when you click it, it says select a primary storage destination. That will write directly into that one, and you can select. So for example, if I want directly writing into this host's local storage, I can select this one, which belongs to this host, and make sure the importing host is the same. That is because once the disk is converted, it will place it on this host local storage. So I need the importing host to be the same so it can access the disks, so it can import it. So you see that is all required. That's why you'll have those optional fields. You can play with them. So let's monitor the tasks. There's one that's been completed, so I can go to completed, and we'll see import demo has been completed. It took 2 minutes, 11 seconds. That's pretty good. I can click into it, start it, play with it, and then can be monitoring the other one while it's finished. Previously, you see at the top, it only said, okay, it finished as well. So I should be able to see it here as well. Under instances, yeah, here's demo 2. And the tool will also show it as completed. 1 second, here. Yeah. So I filter by completed migrations. Yeah, import demo 2. Also took 2 minutes. It was not a very large disk, just for this demo. Yeah. So that's a quick overview of what the latest improvement has been. And yeah, as some future ideas, we expect to keep improving the tool. So we need to add more storage types for these sources of migration, to support block storage for the source of these migrations. So yeah, if you have any suggestion, please interact in the mailing list. You can ping me on GitHub or anywhere. I have the QR code as well here for scanning again if you want to contact me. And yeah, feel free to to interact in the GitHub repo. Let's keep improving this tool, which I think is very good. And yeah, I'm open for any questions.